So an Englishman, an Irishman and a Scotsman went into a tent at the Northern Shooting Show, and what follows is what happened.
Alright, how you doing? I'm Lindsey. I'm a firearms journalist. I specialise in social media and try and promote shooting rights, using that medium.
I'm Dave Ewan. I'm a co-founder and publicity manager of FirearmsUK, and again we operate a lot on social media, trying to encourage unity and positive action within the shooting community, get people shooting, educate the public, and just show them that shooting's good, safe, fun.
I'm Callum Collins. I run the EnglishShooting YouTube channel, sponsored shooter with Bluefield Sports as well. I'm in for the promotion of shooting, getting people into the sport and pulling triggers.
And I'm Sam at Srspower. I'm just a guy who made videos on YouTube if I'm going shooting or give my opinion about things, and it escalated. So that's about it really.
Okay, I'll set you guys all up on a sort of starting topic. I think a good one to start with would be, how do we encourage more people, and particularly younger people, into all forms of shooting, hunting and target sports? You want to pick up first?
I think it's just outreach, is actually showing people what the sport is about. There's a lot of misconceptions. I think we've all dealt with that. The media don't do a great job of showing the true side of the sport. A lot of people, they see a gun and they're scared. And the first time I ever shot a gun, I was scared. I was nervous. I thought, this is going to hurt me or somebody else. And you get the instruction, you get coaching, and then you soon realise it's a tool. And the only dangerous part is the tool behind the gun. And they like to demonise the firearm, and as soon as you remove that and you show people through control and instruction, people are happy with it. And I've taken people down the range that are quivering at the sight of a gun, and you spend 5-10 minutes with them, showing them, get them feeling the recoil of it, and they walk away with a smile on their face, and they want to get licences.
Yeah, I think as people who shoot, we've all got a responsibility for that. If you've got an FAC, or even just an air rifle and some land, if you know someone who's just got a passing interest, you can take them out and just show them the ropes. They'll find their own way from there. They can find the information, they can look on, they can watch my channel, or Callum's or whatever, and find out about, how to apply for their FAC and how to get permissions and, or whatever it is you want to do. But that's what it comes down to really. It's like we all have a responsibility, because we're all a very small number of people, and we need more of us to have some political clout to make sure we maintain our rights and so on. And one of the things that we always go on about, because I'm the sort of FUD of the group, as they call them, I'm the guy who sort of hunts, and a lot of guys who hunt all the time and just shoot an over and under shotgun or a rifle and do a bit of deer stalking, they'll frown upon practical shooting or other disciplines, and that's really unhelpful. I guess the Americans can get away with it because there's enough of them, but we really don't. So yeah, we all need to do our part really.
Yeah, then I think we're sort of fighting against, there's a lot of propaganda that's been, been ongoing for decades now, where people don't view firearms as sport, they view it as instruments of death, and this is what we're fighting against. Like for me, I'm a target shooter, and I love nothing more than going up to a range on the weekend and maybe going through maybe 200 rounds just shooting paper targets. And you're right, whenever you bring people up to the range on an open day, they're physically shaking. They're scared of the firearms, and it isn't until you familiarise them with it, you make them comfortable, you walk them through it, you show them techniques, etc., etc. They come away with a different view, a completely different viewpoint than what they had whenever I brought them up in the first place. And I think if every single shooter in the UK, no matter what the discipline, be it target shooters, hunters, you name it, if you reach out to people, again, it's not the antis that we'll have to worry about, because there's no point in talking to antis, they've already made up their minds. It's about the fence sitters, people that have a few questions about it. Actually show them, take them out, give them hands-on experience, let them see for themselves that we're not the monsters that we're being portrayed to be in the media. If every single shooter in the UK did that, we could grow the sport to such an extent that we would have political clout. you know, shooters are voters at the end of the day. If enough of us are joining together, again, it's the message of unity, we'll be a lot bigger a force to deal with, and we'll not have so many rights and, you know, restrictions being put on us in the first place. That's just my opinion.
I think I'd echo what everyone was saying, and as well, when you take people shooting, I found even if they do badly, they still walk away with a huge smile on their face, and the same can't be said for trying out golf. It's really annoying and frustrating, and you don't walk away with a smile on your face. But shooting, you go and have a great time, and you know, a lot of people say, right, I want to go back and if you can hit one more clay and get a little bit closer to bullseye. You know, they love it, and even if they don't take it up, it changes their opinions, and it's worth doing just that one time for one person.
One of the great things that we struggle with, or has been a challenge for the shooting community and the hunting community in general in the last couple of years, has come hand in hand with the rise of social media. Yeah. And our responsibility as people who use it and as people within our community to use it right. Talk through what you guys have seen happening over the last few years, some of the positive things, some of the negative things, and what we need to consider going forward to make sure that what we do with regard to our interaction on social media, which will be seen by not just our community but the rest of the world, has a positive outcome for hunting and shooting in general.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, we should all do this anyway. Yeah, if you're on social media, no matter what it is, whether it's just your Facebook profile or whatever, is treat it as if it's real life. You know, people have a tendency to be willing to say or do things online that they wouldn't do in real life, and as long as you kind of treat it like real life, then it's not a problem. That said, you know, I'll talk to thousands of people when I make a video, and I've just got a handful of people. It's quite nerve-wracking because, you know, in comparison, but you know, that's what you need to do, and then you won't make a mistake. You know, that's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to, I think, really. But we do have there are a lot of problems that we face in terms of obviously Silicon Valley generally with YouTube, but also with Facebook and Twitter and so on. They have a very narrow view of the world, and they assume, for instance, that we're very conservative because we shoot, and that's like an American thing, I think. I actually am, but a lot of people are. Yeah, there's no reason why that should be the case. I mean, there's all sorts of different disciplines and different kinds of people who do it. You know, I mean, I know Alex at Bluefield Sports. He's got very different political views to me, but he still loves shooting. You know, there's no reason to think of it like that. Mm. But even if they did, well, you know, we should have freedom of speech. People should have their own views. Yeah. But talking about the unity thing, with reference to that, that's why part of the reason why, you know, my channel isn't just about shooting. In fact, I would say in a lot of ways I'm not actually into shooting. I'm into hunting. But I also talk about politics. I talk about anything that takes my interest. And part of the reason is because I just fancy doing it, but also is because, you know, just being having unity is a little bit navel-gazing. You know, it's great to try and pull other people in. And if you've got followers who are following you for something other than shooting, they'll think, hey, well, I'm not into shooting, but you know, that guy shoots, and I quite like him, you know, and that will gain us support. Yeah, you know,
it's sort of build up the public image.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. But you know, yeah, the odds are against us, you know.
It's an uphill battle every time you post.
Yeah,
you know, it really is. What are you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, like, I think that's the thing about, like, we're seeing YouTube and social media has given the shooting community a voice it never had. The mainstream media, now and again, they might be alright, you know, if you make a wee article for winning Olympic medals. Yeah. The mainstream media, they're out to sell papers or whatever, you know, they misrepresent things, they scaremonger, they cause hysteria.
Shop.
Yeah, they're not out to improve public safety, they're out to sell their product, and they don't care who gets damaged along the way. And I think social media, I mean, you look back 20 years ago, I think people were scared of firearms, but, you know, a lot older people, I think, you know, maybe like sort of my dad's age at the time, they've all been, you know, think, well, firearms are horrible, they don't really much. But now I'm finding younger people, because they're exposed to American shooting channels, to see all the cool stuff the Americans have in Europe, guys like yourselves, they're seeing that shooting's normal, shooting's fun and it's safe, and it gives us a voice and an opportunity to showcase it that we've never had before. And I think that's why people with agendas, they're shutting down YouTube channels, they're shutting down things, because they don't like the fact that we're maybe normalising showing shooting's perfectly acceptable, and that's scary, because, you know, as you said about freedom of speech, you know, there should have freedom of speech, because if you're saying something that's nonsense, it should be heard so people can laugh at you.
Of course, yeah.
To me, if they're trying to shut you down, you're maybe not talking nonsense and they're scared of what you're trying to say. And, you know,
you also should have the freedom to be wrong.
Yeah.
Because we all get things wrong, don't we? You know, and someone corrects you, you know, or just has a different point of view, and you evolve and you change. You know, if we're in a situation where we feel that we can't truly express ourselves without fear of persecution in some way, and it's not just social media itself, it's the government. I mean, it's sort of the case of Count Dankula. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with that guy, but he just made a joke, and he taught his dog to be essentially a Nazi, and got his dog to sort of go like this. And yeah, he went to court, and he got an £800 fine for that. And it's just like, you know, he was just making a joke. But even if it wasn't a joke, even if he solemnly believed that at the time, he was an absolute total racist, he should be able to say that as well. So you guys can come on and say, actually mate, you're being an idiot. And then he might actually then think, oh actually I am an idiot. And then start thinking that.
Yeah. But the fact is, in the video he made it very clear that it was a joke.
Yeah, but that shouldn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing, and that's why I think he was fighting that in the wrong way. Because that shouldn't matter. You know, it should just be the fact that, like, you know, yeah, I did this, you know, get bent. I'm doing it if I want to do it.
That's probably one of the bad sides of social media, is that you get these hive mind mentalities. You get these pockets on the internet that people know what the popular views are.
Yeah.
So I post a lot of stuff on Reddit, and I know that Reddit has a very left-leaning, and certain subreddits like our United Kingdom has a very left-leaning. You start talking about guns on there, you're a nutter. But I think we have to be wary of this ourselves. We can live in our own little bubble of the shooting community, and we all know when we talk about certain topics what the context is. And it's very easy to forget that these views are going out to the wider public, and there are a lot of people that are receptive to firearms, these people that are on the fence and they just need a bit of a nudge to go, okay, they're not so bad. But there's also the people that see this and they twist it, and they're able to take things out of context, and they're able to almost demonise again the sport of shooting because they don't understand the narrative.
Yeah, I know with my page, if I was to write like an article post or post a meme, you're sort of preaching to the converted almost a lot of the time. I don't want to use the term, but sometimes it feels like an echo chamber. It isn't until a post sort of goes semi-viral. Like I made a post, it was a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. It was basically a picture of 1022 on a range, and it said something along the lines of, I'm tired of having to be secretive about shooting and all that. And that post got 600,000 hits, you know. It's whenever a post like that really takes off, that's when I start to get the antis coming in, you know. And I'll be honest, some of the comments I had to hide from the antis were more violent than anything I've ever seen. I've been told to kill myself by antis more times than I can count. I've lost count as well, which is a bit ironic when they're trying to argue that we're the violent ones. And say, well, you should kill yourself. Like, oh.
It's like a psychological projection. See, amount of times I see you shouldn't have guns, and the other one was, well, it's not fair to say everyone, but a lot of times it's these people that seem unhinged, and I think they're judging us by their standards. Sometimes they might not trust themselves, but you know, it doesn't mean any of us are unsuitable. But I think it's a big part. You know, the good part of that is that shows that it's not us that is the problem. You know what I'm saying? It is a positive, because you can sort of argue with them on the page and try and get your point across and try and debate like an adult. But I found that the problem is whenever you do that, whenever you actually show them the statistics and the facts, it always turns to name calling, you know, very quickly.
And the ironic thing with that is the double standards, both with, I mean, we're talking about YouTube now, but social media generally, but also the authorities, is that there's a huge double standard there, because on one hand, somebody who says something a bit edgy about their dog saluting or whatever gets sent to court, but I get actual death threats of somebody saying they want to rape and murder my family when I have got little nephews and nieces, and I report them to YouTube, nothing happens, you know. And I must admit, I did report to the authorities, but that sort of thing should be reported, but I know nothing would be done because of the demographic that I am. I mean, just not obviously shooting, but other aspects as well. And it just seems to be there's a two-tier system. On one hand, we've got this really Orwellian legal system where it's illegal now to offend someone, even though no one ever died of being offended. And I should know, because I offend people all the time. You know, I do. I don't even mean to half the time, but I do. But like, it's not going to kill you. It's like, and you choose to take offence. I don't offend someone actually. They choose to be offended. But yet, if someone says to me they want to rape and murder my family, that is actually a direct threat. You know, there's a potential reason for me to think something's going to happen here, but nothing does. Why is there that double standard?
If I just, sorry, that was a bit close. If I just flip this on its head a little bit and try and bring the balance in here. Now, obviously, if someone is making direct threats like that, it's ridiculous. But what I would like to say about that is that, and what has been failed to have been acknowledged here, is that some members of the hunting and shooting community, they're just as much to blame.
I'm not saying not.
Yeah, I know, but we need to be honest about that.
Yeah.
So when, for example, I'll give you a good example, and then I'll let you guys expand on this. We see it, or I used to see it a lot, especially amongst the fox hunting community, which is a very tight-knit and very enthusiastic part of field sports, and there are other things that we could dig into that. But with respect to potentially the lack of respect they show to their quarry, I'm talking very generally speaking, I'm not talking about everyone, but that is quite often the projection that we see on social media, and the kind of images they put up, the lack of explanation as to why they're doing what they're doing. And then you take it one step further and you look at things like Chris Packham, who I'm sure we all know, put a thing recently up. I think it was a competition to win one of his shirts. And he was asking people, just members of the public, to put up a picture of what was spring to you, I think it was. So of course there was a lot of hunting people on there, and there was a lot of great pictures. There was somebody out, beautiful, the sunlight, rose stalking. And there were quite a lot like that. But equally, there were some idiots within our community who went and put up completely graphic and grotesque images for the sake of thinking that they were clever. What do you think that says to a non-hunting public? A public that isn't against you, but is now making a judgment on you by some clown who thought that they were being smart. So I would like you to expand on that aspect of it, like within our own community and how we need to be responsible.
That's why I've always been quite nervous of covering hunting on the channel. I'm not a hunter, I don't have a huge experience. Fortunately, I am venturing into that with Bluefield Sports and the estate that Alex runs. And what I was nervous about was this love of killing, and trying to explain that without understanding it. And that's what people sort of jump on, is you love to kill, you love the action of killing. And actually the small introduction that I've had so far, it's not about that. There's so much more to hunting that I've grasped in a short amount of time that isn't just about the killing. And I think that's what the public like to jump on, is that we're all bloodthirsty. And I think, again, it comes back to these echo chambers and people taking things out of context. If you show 100 birds on a field, it's just, well, you just went there to go and kill the birds. Well, no, there's sustainability, you have to protect crops, and also a lot of those birds will be eaten, either by dogs or by people, and there's this real ecosystem that requires hunting.
I think there's a balance to be struck there, because obviously as somebody hunts, you should always be ethical, and there should be a really good reason for it, and it should always be within the law, and so on and so forth. And yeah, you shouldn't be overtly disrespectful to your quarry. And framing it as saying, I don't enjoy killing, is a little bit unhelpful as a term, because in some way, you shouldn't be apologetic about enjoying hunting for itself, for hunting. The sort of Homo sapiens that we are, we're hunter-gatherers, and we have an urge to hunt. We all have an urge to hunt. Some men go and play football on a Sunday. I mean, what are they doing? They're scratching that Darwinian itch. They want to go and kill something, and that's what we do when we hunt. And frankly, we don't have to hunt. I mean, there's lots of all these different. Obviously, I could rally it off all day about deer management or pest control or whatever. And of course, we always, we hunt within that framework. But at the same time, to deny that we do it because we enjoy it would be being dishonest.
But it's about what aspects you enjoy. When you show a picture of your take for the day. The people are just seeing the end result, and then it's all about the killing.
Well, this is why the explanation.
You enjoy walking across the fields. You enjoy, interacting with your firearm. You enjoy taking a bird out of the sky. But it's not all about that. And I think that's what we have to be careful of with these pictures, is to be able to show the backstory. Actually, what's led up to that point, and actually what you know, you're shooting the bird out of the sky, but that is a split second. There's
of
many
course.
hours before that of setting up your hide and sitting there, and afterwards. And I think if people begin to understand that, and we're able to show, that's a lot more powerful than just a picture of load of birds.
Well, Byron will know that with the deer stalking. That's like where the work starts after you pull the trigger.
I think I think the point though about when Packham did that, and you know, people were posting kill pictures.
Yeah.
I don't think that was helpful at
No,
all.
of course not. Absolutely.
At the end of the day, we have an uphill battle already with our image as shooters, and to show a picture that you know is going to offend the antis, it's only going to stoke them up, it's only going to make it worse.
And our actions generally.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you have to remember that Facebook is a forum, or any social media, it's worldwide.
Yeah.
You know, everything that we post can be used against us, and I think...
And there is a sad truth to this. Because when we have, for instance, one major issue we have, and it's funny because we see all this thing in the news now about, you know, you must have all heard about Antifa and all of this stuff going on in the States, and also here to an extent where people are trying to shut down free speech, they've all got their faces covered. Well, we've all been experiencing that for quite some time, haven't we, with hunt saboteurs. And what they do is they'll come onto, in that instance, they'll come onto somebody's private land. They've got a problem with the lawful activity that they're doing. You know, they're entitled to their opinion, but they've got a problem, and they essentially attack them.
Yeah.
And then when these hunters or the followers of the hunt fight back, it's then played out as if, oh, they're just both as bad as each other, aren't they? That's how the media portray it.
Yeah.
Now, that is like somebody breaking into your house, attacking you, you defending yourself and beating them up, and then so the court say, well, you're just as bad as he is, aren't you?
Which they do.
Well,
Which they do.
especially when you use the screwdriver.
But that is the reality we live in, isn't it?
Yeah,
Which is why, even when, but that's the reality we live in. So even if, it's a tragic thing, but if you are, say, a hunter, and you're being attacked by sabs, the worst thing you can do is give them a bloody nose in return. Because if you do, it'll just be, it'll go against you. And it shouldn't be like that, but it is.
You can't really stand there and let them kick your head in, but you know, you've got to, you might have to do something.
I've got to allow you to
You're totally allowed to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's all sorts of things. I mean, I think Byron actually touched upon it when he speaks on the DNA Festival. We've got to be conscious of our image, and you know, and it's so frustrating. You know, sometimes you get these wee people and they're really angry, they're cheeky, they're aggressive, and you're frustrating. You say, you know what, and you know, it'll annoy them, but the problem is, I think as mentioned last night, is antis aren't going to change. You might annoy them, but see the general public, I mean, everyone loves animals.
So I like
you
arguing
know.
antis.
You know, I'm not saying I don't, but you need to watch where you do it. But you know, the general public, they love animals, so as you say, they just see this, well, this wee lovely wee fluffy thing, and you've killed it, and they don't understand why, and that's what we need to be conscious of, which is why they say about stalking. For me, some of the best stalks I've been on, never got anything. It was been out there, experienced the countryside, some beautiful scenery, having some good chat, you know, with the stalker or whatever, and you know, and if you get something at the end of the day, you know, you're proud of it. You know, you've been out all day, you've got it, and if you're taking a picture, it's not so much about a trophy. It's respect for the quarry. It's a sort of memory of the occasion more than anything. And unless you've hunted, you're not going to really ignore that. And I think that's what we need to do. Is just say, like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, and
there's some people,
out,
and there's some people you'll never reach.
You know, and you won't. I mean,
Sure,
but this is where we should always be saying, like, take people shooting. If you get them shooting, they might, you know, get involved in other aspects that they might learn about it and take it from there. Because that's the thing. We all need to just do a little bit more and take one more person, whether it's shooting, whether it's hunting, target shooting, and just drop wee hint, plant the seed, and take it from there. And I think that's starting to happen, definitely.
I mean, in terms of the image, there is, as I said, there's a balance to be struck. I mean, my last video, I mean, I don't know how many of you saw it, I had to shoot a fox, and I've been tracking this fox for about 3 weeks. It was taking loads of lambs, it's not so much now because they're a bit bigger, but it's still taking pheasants from Spinney, and it's been a real problem. And this field I was shooting in, it was never presenting itself with a good shot. So I knew it was around, but it wasn't safe. And eventually I got it. And, you know, you look at this fox, you know that it's had cubs. It's got, you know, it's not heavily lactating anymore, so they've been weaned. But you know that there's some cubs there, and I'm going to go and kill them now, because if I don't, they'll probably starve. Now, that's the hard reality, and there's no way around that, and it sounds horrible, but that is a verminous animal, just like a rat or anything else that you need to get rid of. But it's also a result of banning fox hunting, because before, we'd hunt foxes with dogs, and they would be, you know, as brutal as, you know, you might sort of see it, those foxes are naturally selected, and the population is regulated effectively. So there's always still going to be the odd problem fox, but generally not so much. But on that land I'm on now, the only way to get rid of them is to shoot them. And sometimes that's what happens, and that's why you end up, you know, and I've got a footage of a fox like basically half exploding, so I've shot it with a 100 grains of 243. I mean, that's what you have to do. I mean, it might be brutal, but you have to explain what's going on. And you're like, yeah, I will have to go back and kill those cubs. But
I think
that's what happens. As long as you explain that, some people are going to hate you for that regardless. But you're like, well, this is what you voted for, this is what you wanted. So,
saying about fox hunting though, I mean, I think there's a problem when it comes to a lot of the attacks against shooting and hunting. I think perceive it to be like a class thing. And a lot of people hate it. Maybe they probably do care about the animals, but they probably hate it because they think it's all a big bunch of hooray Henrys and toffs just having a jolly. And you know, I think sitting here today, I mean, we're all shooters, we all hunt. Some of us are probably, you know, different backgrounds, different accents, but we're all shooters, and this is the thing. It's not to any aunties that if they ever watch this, it's not class. You know, you shouldn't be doing it because of class, but I think that's what it is, and it's people just exploiting it. And shooters are from all backgrounds, and you make life tougher for them. You're affecting ordinary working class people. You're not just having a go at the rich and the wealthy. You're hitting ordinary people. It's their livelihood, it's their careers, it's their social circles, and you know, there's a whole just spectrum that relating to shooting and hunting that people don't understand. It's not just about playing with guns. There's everything to it, and again, this is where it comes back to social media, because we start to show everything that's involved and how powerful a tool it is, and we start to get people to realise more of all the facets involved and the backgrounds and the disciplines and everything.
I think we are changing minds, so slowly but surely. I've noticed the shooting audience, well again, Facebook would be made for them, and
I've actually got quite a big vegan following, believe it or not.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well,
seriously.
Are they following you just to...
No, genuinely support what I'm doing.
Seriously?
Yeah, well, it's logical, isn't it? If you're a vegan and you disagree with factory farming and so on and so forth, you know, you would have more reason to hate someone if you're going to be extreme about it, coming out of McDonald's with a Big Mac, than someone going out into a field and shooting a rabbit. From their perspective, they're like, well, that's, you know, there's nothing more, no more wonderful way for the animal to live than for it to be free and wild.
Well, it's the ultimate free range, isn't it?
They're not the norm.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of other vegans who will give me some hassle.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I do have a lot of vegan viewers, actually.
Well, I know I don't personally hunt an awful lot. I would shoot the odd rabbit. You know, I've got a couple of good rabbit stew recipes. You know,
Okay.
Anything I hunt, honestly, it's for food. Nothing goes to waste. I wouldn't take a life just for the sake of taking a life. And I think sometimes some hunters, when you see them on social media, they are doing it just for you know, to have the biggest stag, or you know.
When I see photos on various Facebook groups I won't particularly mention, and they've got 6 or 7 foxes laid out.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, well, why did you shoot 6 or 7 foxes? Why did you need to shoot them?
Yeah,
I mean, if they explain why, there might be a good reason, you know. But you know, a lot of the time it isn't. They're just doing it for the sake of it.
Yeah,
and you kind of like.
If you put a picture up, see if they get the fox, maybe some of the damage they've done to the lambs.
Yeah.
I mean, lambs are cuter than foxes, you know. So if they're going to say, say this is the damage these have done, it's got to be controlled. This is why.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, and it's educational. Then it's not just blood and go for the sake of it. It's educational. You see the damage, you see the balance.
Yeah. Oh no, what I was pointing out is what Byron was touching on was where you know that some of these guys are gratuitously just doing it for a laugh, and it's just like, yeah, sure, we're all involved in doing it for sporting purposes, but it has to be within a moral framework. Yeah. And I mean, there was an episode of Field Sports Britain not that long ago where they got that old guy. Did you see that? Where he was talking about he's got a weird way of getting foxes. He just watches them for like hours and hours on end, and he takes very sort of certain ones. And he was saying the same thing. You know, you get guys going out and shooting dozens of foxes, and it's just like, well, you know, were they all actually causing a problem?
Yeah, and then if you're going to post them on social media again, if it's in a public forum, fair enough. If you're in a closed group, you know, where it's other, you know, pest control, and you're posting pictures, to me that's okay. But if you're posting it on a public post where absolutely anybody can see it, it's not doing our image any good, is it?
No, absolutely.
At the end of the day, you have to be PR minded when it comes to social media, and I think we all have to be very aware of that. You know, you don't know who's listening.
Sam's touched on practical shooting and the image that can portray, and I'm fully aware of that. And although I don't think what you wear when you shoot should really matter, I think we do have to be mindful. Do you really need the plate carrier on when you're doing practical shooting? Do you really need to go that extra step to be more tactical?
I know I wrote an article on that myself, and I did get a lot of stick, because generally if I'm out doing the rabbit hunting, I would have like a, you know, a camouflage sort of mask, you know, to cover my face.
That has a purpose.
You know,
you're using that to hide, to be able to be a better hunter.
Exactly, but to some people, they would look at that and think, if somebody was to see you wearing that sort of thing out hunting in the fields, it's not going to look good. But to me, it's practical. It's the same with some people would call it a black stock, you know, the polymer stock with the adjustable, you know, backrest and stuff. I have a disability of arthritis in my spine, and if I didn't have the tactical style stock, I wouldn't be able to shoot, because that's the only way I'm comfortable, you know what I mean? So again,
absolutely, yeah.
For some people, they would see my Ruger and they would go, oh, you're just trying to be Rambo. The case at all. You know, some days I need the stock to be longer than other days, depending on movement and, you know, in my spine. So it's purely practical for me, but it's getting that point across, and it's the same with the Mars rifle talks coming in. I've been speaking to a lot of disabled shooters that would shoot the Mars rifles, and the fact that they're being targeted again in these acid, you know, ban or whatever. I think at the end of the day, it's them that's going to suffer, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. By all accounts, they're not very good anyway.
I can't say I've never done.
No, just got on.
Just bring back SLRs, that would solve the problem.
Yes. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Just the way it looks, it's still a single shot rifle. And from that perspective, anyway, banning guns because of the type of gun it is retarded. Is that me?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Carry on.
Okay. Because, you know, when somebody goes on a mass shooting or whatever, it's not like they're shooting back at it, are they? So it doesn't really make any difference, does it? I mean, either you ban all guns, or you start worrying about the actual individual who's possessing them, which is the important thing, isn't it?
Well, I think this might be controversial, but if anyone's really concerned about politicians and that, we're concerned about actually solving the root causes of crime. A lot of the laws we've got in place wouldn't be in place right now to actually tackle the root causes, but you know, it's always sort of lip service. It's been seen to be doing something rather than doing something.
It's reactive.
And they can make money out of us as well, which is probably a part of it, you know. But I think with practical shoot. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, to carry on kind of the thread that you've started there. There has been, I've seen plenty of discussions, and there are a couple of people who speak out quite a lot about this, especially online, about how guns look. I mean, a 223, doesn't matter what it looks like, it still has the same application, especially in this country because we don't have semi-automatic full-bore rifles. What is your thoughts on that particular part of the conversation? And there are people within the shooting/hunting community who would like to see that removed. Remove the more tactical looking stuff because of how that might be perceived by the general public. And then to take that just one step further in your discussion, I see alignment with some of the thinking when it comes to tactical looking and style guns, and alignment with the NRA in America. Now the NRA might be viewed from one side, or it might be viewed from another. My personal opinion of the NRA is that I don't think they do themselves a lot of favours, because a lot of the time when I see them trying to have what should be level-headed discussions, is that they're so blown out in one direction that they actually can't defend what they're standing for.
They're provocative.
Because they're provocative, and it's almost like they're deliberately doing it so. And I don't think I've seen a single person standing up for the NRA, whatever it is that they've been discussing at the time. It's normally linked to some sort of shooting that's been over the last couple of years, and they've actually been able to articulate something without being completely flustered and red in the face and just angry about everything. And so the last part of my question would that be is, how do we avoid that here?
Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, you look at NRA, I think the problem is people are very emotive. Like, and that's what anti-gunners, anti-hunters, they use. They play in emotion to follow their agenda. You know, I mean, you look at sometimes, again, you look at, we're always, I think we always try and be calm and level-headed, and we always quote facts and figures and statistics. And a lot of the time we get nowhere because people get to the point they can't think rationally, they get emotive. So perhaps, I mean, I've seen some NRA, in the US NRA videos, and sometimes I think, oh, they're quite right, and other times I do think, oh, they're quite emotive there themselves, but maybe that's somehow brings balance to the emotion and exploitation of the antis in some ways. But
it's a very different situation in America compared to here as well, because, and to be honest, what you were saying about the NRA is like, I don't think they're provocative enough from an American standpoint, personally, because you've got to understand how our legal systems work in comparison. We don't have any kind of constitutional rights here. People say we have an unwritten constitution, but that's live bollocks. That's just case law. Okay. Any government that gets voted in can rip up everything the last government did over and over and over and over again. And so we do have to discuss and convince, you know, to a large extent. But in America, it's great. Because, and not just for shooting, but for freedom of speech and so on and so forth, because it's just written down, it's on a piece of paper. It clearly says, if this isn't open for interpretation, this is what it says. And it says, the First Amendment says, I can say what I like, as long as I'm not instigating violence. And the Second Amendment says, I have a right to have a firearm. Okay? And some people talk about it saying, you know, they'll refer to the first section where it refers to a militia and so on. But if you ask any lawyer in the States, will say that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed is what makes the law. And the word people is referred to in lots of other amendments in the American Constitution, and that means anybody who is a citizen of the United States and who basically isn't a convict and hasn't been declared insane by a judge. And that's it, clear, that's it. There's no discussion to be had. So if I was running that organisation, no, I wouldn't be placating anyone. And sure, you can say that's wrong, but the minute you take that away, the whole of the rest of the Constitution comes falling down, and freedom of speech goes. That's it. Everything goes. Because it means nothing anymore. The minute you can overturn that, you can overturn everything. For us, like I said, we don't have any rights at all, literally none. So we have to convince. It's a completely different analogy.
The American Bill of Rights is actually based on British legislation.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, but so people say it, I mean, I don't know, I see way back now, you need to be a like Philadelphia lawyer, I understand all this stuff, but apparently the American Constitution is based on British legislation. It's some kind of...
Well, we wrote it.
Yeah, so so there's all sorts of things like that, and it's interesting that Britain or the UK maybe had some kind of belief in the same things, and some way along the past have kind of diverged and we've forgotten a lot of our history.
Well, it's improvement. We wrote most constitutions in most countries.
Sort of made sure it's...
But we didn't write one for ourselves.
Yeah.
Besides the right and having the right to bear arms in the States, I think the biggest difference is unity. Yeah. When you go out to the States and you talk to any American shooter, they are willing to go and march wherever they need to march for whatever gun is being threatened. And I think in terms of how we protect and move forward our community and our sport, is any area of our sport can be attacked for whatever reason. It can be taken out of context. You can take hunting, that can look bad. You can take practical shooting, that can look bad. And I think what it takes is for all sides to stick together and argue the point. And when you get people that want to throw certain disciplines under the bus because they may give the wrong image, well, any discipline can give the wrong image if you put the right twist on it.
That's it.
So actually, by giving the antis what they need, because it's like, oh yes, that is bad, just attack them, don't attack us. Well, once that side is gone, it's going to be another side. And I think we've seen this recently with a certain individual who's now realised that there's not enough people to fight the or to push back on all these attacks on our sport.
Oh yes.
And that's what we need is to be united, to help each other out. As I said, I'm not a huge hunter. I've never done a huge amount of hunting, but I will support hunting, and I will find the positives of the hunting. And part of wanting to get into hunting is to understand it better, so that I can better argue the point. And I would hope that hunters will do the same for practical shooting. That maybe that they come down and they try it and give it a go. Whether they think it's a bunch of SAS wannabes running around in a field, come down and give it a try, and at least understand what we're trying to do, and then vice versa.
I think it's very easy though for as a community to sit back and sort of rely on the organisations to do the fighting for us. A lot of people will pay their whatever it is membership a year, and then they'll think, well, that's my job done, but it's just not as simple as that, is it? There's a lot, even in those organisations, there's a lot of politics going on.
Well, to be fair, though, bats do roll over pretty much for everything that the government do.
So it can be said for a lot of them, but no, you're right, unity's the key, definitely. But getting back to the appearance side of things, as far as tactical look rifles go, to me that's evolution. Firearms have evolved. You have you know, a lot of the features on these rifles actually have a purpose. You know, like the floating barrel increases accuracy apparently, or muzzle brake, you know, dissipates the gases and increases accuracy. It's all about getting the grouping, you know, with these rifles. And surely it's a good thing if you are engaged in the likes of deer hunting to have the most accurate equipment possible.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So what's the difference, you know, if having a traditional wood stock and say a 308, you know, that you're using for the deer, is there really any difference if it happens to be a polymer stock?
Well, I think the problem, yeah, touching on what Byron was saying, the problem comes from a lot of people who hunt, as they were like me, who aren't necessarily obsessively into guns at all. They just use them, and so they just don't see the point. But the thing is, I'm kind of, you know, I don't have any particular biases there. I mean, I've got a very nice Browning 525 over and under, and I'll take out my cheap, nasty pump any day of the week to go out and shoot pigeons, and that's a black tactical looking thing with high capacity section 1, but it doesn't bother me, really. And to be honest, I mean, I've got a semi-auto 22 down on my ticket, and I am actually tempted to get an AR type rifle for shooting rabbits, because all those rails and so on and so forth are very good for attaching night vision and lamps, and you know, and I can have it nice and short and compact. It's semi-auto, so I don't have to, you know, if I'm in the car shooting out the window, I've got something really little I can use.
To have a purpose.
It's a function. So, but what they call those guys in the States, they call them FUDs. I don't know if you've heard that expression, you know. Unless I'm the FUD of the group, I'm not really, because I support.
No, but you're pro guns.
But that's what they call them. They call them FUDs, you know, and it's a high level of hypocrisy, because it's just like, well, I like my side by side and my bolt action, and you know, screw these guys with their tactical looking 2.2s when he's shooting a 2.43 or 3.08. I mean, come on.
I think the big thing as well is like Mike was touching on, it's evolution. I mean, I find a lot of younger people as well, like I feel like maybe like young apprentices and working at and stuff, and they're interested because, you know, it looks good. You've got video games and that, Call of Duty and that, you can play with anything, you know, and you want, well, do they really want to sit and, you know, play with these things? Nothing wrong with traditional guns, but you know, it might look a bit boring to them when they've got all this cool stuff they can play in the game. So why not have some pretty cool modern firearms that, you know, that look like the stuff that they can play in their games and do it for real? And it's like as well when you get shooters criticised and say you don't need this box head rifle. Well, can you imagine going back, like, I don't know, 120 years or something, and you had the shooters at the time saying, oh no, we're not going to have Lee Enfields, we're just going to stick with Martini Henry rifles, you know, you don't need any more than a single you know, it's evolution, it evolves.
It was a true assault rifle at the
time. At the time, yeah, and then, you know, it's evolution, it evolves.
More than any other.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a, you know, if you don't like it, fine, don't shoot it, but don't throw other people under the bus, is what I would say, except that young people maybe want to try something that's practical and dynamic, and then if they start that, then we can all come in and say, well, why don't you try hunting? And that's it.
You seeing people complaining about tactical looking stocks, you don't see them writing with a feather and ink, do you? You know?
No, absolutely. I mean, for this reason though, I mean, talking about getting other people into shooting, we should try and reach more out to airsofters.
Yeah,
and it's ironic because there's a level of bias here that I need to get over. You know, I've got guys on my Facebook and they've got photos of them with their mates and they look like they've come out of Rainbow Six or whatever, and they've got all this tactical gear on. They're all pointing the muzzles at each other because they don't really have a clue what they're doing, but he's got a big Bowie knife as well and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, he's such a twat. but I've got to get over that because, you know, he's somebody who's got an interest in shooting.
They're pulling the trigger.
Sorry?
They're pulling the trigger.
Exactly.
I don't care if it's a live projectile, if it's a BB or it's an air pellet. You're pulling a trigger, that's shooting. It's not the Northern Live Firing Shooting Show, it's the Northern Shooting Show.
Yeah, but those are the guys who might enjoy doing a bit of practical mini rifle or whatever.
A lot of the guys, and that's how I was introduced by somebody that used to do airsoft. I went down clay shooting with them, and he said, have you tried practical? And the only reason he knew of practical shooting, or live firing shooting, was because it was on the same site where he did his airsoft. And they could hear live firing guns going off in the distance, and it's like, okay, let's go and have a look at that. Right, I want to do this now. And it's about exposure. And going back onto social media, that is the power of social media. It gives anybody the ability to share what they want.
Yeah.
You don't need a big broadcasting organisation. You can just you can get your iPhone 4S and make a silly video on your desk and share it to hundreds of thousands of people. And that's the power of it. And I think that's as shooters and the community and the industry, we need to exploit more. And I think there's a lot of nervousness, and I think there should be.
Yeah.
It's a very volatile it's a very volatile thing, social media, but it needs to be exploited more by the shooting community.
Oh, I agree, yeah.
You know, RFDs, gun shops, organisations, there's a huge outreach potential there, and I don't think we're exploiting it enough.
It's true, but then there's also the side where, again, the likes of Facebook heavily restrict your posts as far as firearms go. I know you guys are YouTube. Have you been affected much with the new regulations that have been brought in?
Yeah, like, I mean, the amount of money I was making is cut by, it's an eighth of what I was making a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But it has, for me, it's only been the monetisation. So I've not had any videos banned or taken down.
They haven't shadow banned yet, no?
So,
well, in terms of demonetisation and that if you're demonetised, you see, they don't, you won't appear in people's what next and suggested posts and all that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, with my videos now, it's weird. It was initially really strict. They were just demonetising everything that I did, and then now, basically, if no one complains, it's all right.
Yeah.
But the minute anybody complains, immediately it gets not just demonetised, it's age restricted, which means it's basically shadow banned completely.
Right.
Unless it's your subscribers, no one's going to see it.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time. And I'll respond and I'll say, look, you know, come on, this is literally discrimination. And it's funny actually. I mean, I can say this now. But in my old job, I used to work in education, and as you can imagine, I've got over 1,000 kids, and suddenly they know who I am, and it was a bit awkward. And I was pulled into the head's office, and she's like really not liking this at all. But she's like, but I've already spoken to HR, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Okay. But she really hated it. But I felt like saying, God, this must have been what it felt like to be a tranny in the 1980s. I mean, if I was going out and wearing a dress at the weekend and like doing burlesque dancing, would you be pulling me in your office as the kids found out, oh, Mr. Badham, he likes to wear a dress at the weekend, and then you wouldn't pull me into your office then and say, you mustn't do that anymore. So why is it that just because I shoot, it's acceptable to do that?
Funny, I seen a post in a Facebook group. There was a guy had, you know, if you buy the likes of Gun Mart, you have advertisements for air rifles and that sort of thing. He had it open up on his desk, and there was a note that said, "This is not appropriate," from somebody, you know, higher up than him.
Okay.
And he actually went down the same route. He said, "Well, hold on a minute, is this not discrimination?" I think it was in your group, was it?
Yeah. Well, it is discrimination. It's explicitly discrimination.
And it's encouraged and accepted. I mean, even as a shooter, I mean, this is one thing I think about a law is, you know, maybe you can say some ways it's a good thing, but see, I mean, the shooters, like, the power that you've never been convicted, you've done nothing wrong, there's these things such as intemperate habits or someone's opinion, and you can have your certificates revoked, and I think that's a power thing to say, like, you know, it's something you do worry when you're on it, Facebook or something, like, you know, I'm rocking the boat a little bit, you know, but why should you fear that? But you're not saying anything wrong, you're trying to have a rational discussion, and then you're still kind of worried that you're going to get some kind of comeuppance just for speaking your mind and trying to do it in a nice, pleasant way, you know, it's...
Well, it's almost like,
I think that's
it's an amplified version of what everybody is experiencing now, about not expressing themselves for fear of persecution from the state, as well as from social media. I keep getting feedback.
Hope it's positive.
But everyone's experiencing that. I mean, I was talking earlier on, wasn't I, about that? I can't remember the guy's name, but he's a journalist of Rebel Media. He just recently started doing videos for them. And he ran for office for UKIP, I think, a few years ago, and the Electoral Commission stopped him from running because one of the things he wanted to talk about was British culture and immigration, and they were saying, well, no, that's not in line with our values.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
Just pull that away.
Yeah. It's just like, is that some sort of...
Come away from the speaker, just to make it better.
Oh, okay.
I'd look to you. We're friends as well.
Yeah, that's right. But it's kind of like, you know, who's to say what's acceptable to have an opinion on?
Yeah, who sets the standard?
And you know what the really ironic thing is? Okay, the ironic thing is that when they do this, they're trying to stop what they call extremism. They want to stop extremism by getting people to not talk about things. Well, what happens if you tell people that they can't talk about things? They go and talk about it in private, in an echo chamber with only people who agree with them.
Exactly.
That's where extremism comes from.
And then you can't counter their arguments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and if they're in the public view and they're idiots, then people will tell them pretty damn quick. So it's like counterproductive.
So to follow on from that point, and as a sort of a closing thought,
Okay.
echo chamber.
Yeah.
I think in this community we spend a lot of time talking to ourselves. I think as individuals we spend a lot of time talking to ourselves. As organisations, they spend a lot of time talking to their members, who are not really the people that we need to convince in order to safeguard our future, whether it be shooting or hunting. And we know that we're both connected. So what is it that we do going forward? I get your points. We all, as individuals, need to be ambassadors. We can all change people's minds because we have the ability to speak to somebody who happens to be around for dinner, or a work colleague, that you can slowly start to explain things in the right kind of way. But how do we move forward and actually have the conversations with the people who matter, which is the people not within our immediate community, but communicating what we do to an outside community, and do it in a way that is effective so that it's understood?
Well, I think it's very difficult because there's a couple of times FirearmsUK has been contacted by media, radio stations, and a couple of times we've been on the radio, and sorry, playing footsie with there. Yeah. But there's one time I remember, well, pretty much every time, you always feel the host has been biased against us, and there's times I've been on and it was to talk about something, then all of a sudden it was just like, oh, by the way, we're going to have someone else on for a debate. And I like doing it live because I'll be honest, I think I wiped the floor with them, you know, and the host has come in and helped them out. But there's times we've been asked to give quotes and it doesn't get published, and part of me thinks maybe we're rubbish, you know, we're talking rubbish, but I think it's because it's not controversial, it's honest, it's factual, and they don't want to hear that. They want to, it's not part of their narrative to hear the honest truth about what we do and what shooting or firearms or anything like that. So to actually get out there, it's difficult. I think, you know, because we're kind of starting into it, I don't know, it would take money, but, you know, get adverts on the actual television. Just if we could all get together, put on a 30-second advert in like ITV or something like that, just, you know, shooting sports, try shooting, just, you know, it doesn't need to be a specific organisation, we all chip in, just do it. And then people think, oh, I didn't know you could do that in the UK. And then if all the organisations, we've all got our logos on it, websites to go to, visit it and check it out, and that's how to reach the public. Otherwise, it's very difficult because, don't want to sound like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat, but they're out to get us, you know. But
well, that's that though, isn't there? Because you've got, you know, individuals from their perspective, and then from social media perspective. And I think to a certain extent, it's all right for us to be as controversial as we like and to debate and get, you know, in the media, and that's what you would want. You would want to be, you know, be controversial. Have the Daily Mail say, oh, look at this guy's opinions. Oh, well, at least we're talking about them now. People are hearing about them. But really, real world, real people, when you're talking to people, you don't want to have some big debate. You want to have a conversation and just chat to them respectfully and listen to their point of view as well and be kind. Even when you think they're just idiots, try and be kind to what they've got to say, because at the end of the day, this is like what we were talking about earlier, wasn't it, about vegans? And vegans got this really weird mentality where they're just like going, debate me, you know, defend your right to eat meat. And it's like, I don't have to defend anything, I don't give a shit what you're doing. You can just go off, carry on being vegan. You've got to explain to me why I shouldn't eat meat anymore. And it's the same thing with us, you know, we don't want to be shouting at these people, because at the end of the day, we're trying to convince them of something. We're not trying to just defeat them.
That's the thing. I think shooters are all very kind of sort of, I don't want to say not liberal in America, it says libertarian, whatever. We just want to get on with our own thing. We're just like, you know what, I'm not interested in what other people do. They're not causing anyone any harm. They want to be a vegan, they want to be a vegetarian, they want to play football, they want, you know, we just want to get on and do our thing, and we're not really interested in running other people's lives. And I think the flip side is other people are desperate to do that to us, so that's how we need to get more involved. And I think that the most grassroots thing we can all do is just take people shooting, take them out, anything you can do, take them out, and then you can sit and talk about it with them, and then it'd be a very long-winded way to do it, and then maybe down the line we can get on the telly and more mainstream, but just the most basic thing is just get people shooting.
If every shooter just took one person a year, and then that person, if they happen to get into it and they took one person a year, and so on, it's going to snowball. You know, the numbers are going to grow to such an extent. Like I said before, we're going to have political influence, and that's what it's going to take. Like, I know me and Dave have sort of got politically active purely by accident. We're invited to the Libertarian Party conference in January, and everything those guys had to say, you know, I just agreed with it. I was like, yeah, you're right, we should be standing up and being heard, and I think that's the problem. A lot of shooters don't want to be too public about their, you know, their shooting or their hobbies, and
well,
you know.
I think there's a balance we struck again with that though. If you take the Libertarian Party, or, you know, with respect to a certain extent with FirearmsUK, it's great you've got this one party issue, but to get other people into the fold, you kind of want to try and have, be involved in other things as well that aren't just shooting, because it kind of makes it broader. Because at the moment, otherwise, it's kind of like, well, it's just one thing, and they're like, well, I'm not even interested in that, so I just don't care. That's where, if you're in a position where you're talking about lots of things they might care about, this is why I'll talk about politics, I'll talk about, Brexit, or Donald Trump, or vegans, or whatever.
Your channel is very wide.
Yeah, lots of things. Because I want to bring people in who aren't necessarily into shooting, but can suddenly think, oh, actually, yeah, that's all right. I can dig that. Yeah. And I'm kind of, and my audience is quite divided because of that. I've got people who's just into hunting, or people who are, sort of target shooters or whatever. But then I've got people who just aren't interested in that at all. But they like listening to me ranting about stuff.
What about your followers? Is there a lot of conflict in the comments, or? Do they tend to debate each other?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
They do on mine.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. Yeah, you see, I'd stumble upon, 50 comment arguments. Yeah. But I understand why people may not want to post on social media, and I can understand that, I can respect that.
Yeah.
I do think as a community we need to explain more, and maybe now and then take the risk to post a picture of you on going to the range, obviously being sensitive about where your house is and basic security measures.
Yeah.
But as you say, I think the best thing is for somebody to pull a trigger. To go down to the range, to see the safety involved, to see the instruction, to see the control, to actually experience the gun going off, and to understand that it's not like in the movies, and that it's not like these silly videos that you see all over YouTube. They are, when you hand a petite girl a Smith & Wesson 500 revolver, bad stuff is going to happen. But actually you hand, you can hand a 12-year-old Ruger 1022 and they can shoot it all day without an issue. And what I went to the Phoenix range over in Barnsley yesterday, and it was fantastic. The instruction given, it was an hour course for £32, and he has stag do's, he has hen do's, birthday parties, corporate events, and they come in and you spend 20 minutes learning about the gun, and you're breaking down all the misconceptions and teaching you the drills, and then you go down and you experience it. 2,000 people in 12 months has run through there, and that's 2,000 people that now understand the regulation, the control, the instruction, and what it is to actually shoot. And again, I have to agree completely. If you can take just one person each year, then we're going to grow exponentially. And I think that's what it takes. We can talk to people until we're blue in the face. There are some people that are unconvincible.
No, absolutely. I mean, it is education.
Yes.
It is like a mentality where they're thinking, oh God, you've got. I mean, it's an amazing thing when you pull the trigger for the first time. It's like you've got a controlled explosion in your hand, and it's just shooting out at the end of the barrel. It is amazing. But we trust the machine. We know that it's going to be okay. We know it's safe. But everyone else does this when you drive a car. You've got a container, a flame-proof container full of highly flammable liquid. Meanwhile, in the other part of the car, you've got sparks, like sparking and setting fire to something. I mean, that's pretty dangerous as well. But nobody's worried their car's going to explode, are they? Moreover, you're not worried that your car's going to go ploughing into a bus stop full of kids or something. I mean, it's not going to do that unless you make it do that.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
But that's a difficult thing to show. But that's what we need to show. Because for me, I'm just comfortable if I've got a firearm. I was talking to Alex about that. I'll have my rifle cops unlocked and safety on, and when I'm walking about, and I don't think twice about it. So I know my muzzle discipline's safe. I know it's safe. But to somebody else, they think, oh Christ! I mean, even when I first started shooting, walking around with a rifle, I'm like, oh, should I have the magazine even in the gun?
I know what you're saying.
But once you're comfortable and and you trust the equipment, then it's okay.
And that's what I saw firsthand at Phoenix is breaking down the gun, the actual explaining how it works, how a semi-automatic 2.2 rimfire rifle works, and you could see the people, oh, okay, that's pretty simple, that's straightforward, I now understand this tool. It's not this mysterious evil thing, it's just an object and it works like this, and actually you can use it like this and you can use it like that. And again, getting somebody to actually experience that for themselves, pulling the trigger, I don't think there's anything more valuable.
That's even on our-sighted firearms. It's not always the shooting them, but it's just how they work. It's fascinating, amazing.
Oh yeah. I'm not even into guns, but I'm always watching Forgotten Weapons.
Oh, he's brilliant. Like, engineers, I love these early guns.
Some really weird stuff.
Before they knew how to build a semi-auto handgun, and all these weird designs and that. It's great stuff.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yep, absolutely.
Right, just give a last comment before we'll open up to Q&As, and you can ask these gentlemen pretty much whatever you want to ask them, I think. Is it what you were saying about we need to be involved in things other than the specific items that we're interested in?
Yeah.
If I extend that beyond to the hunting community specifically, it was actually something that I was talking about last night at the film festival, is that as hunters, we need to make sure that we are involved with species and environments that are not necessarily exactly the quarry that we are going to be hunting. We need to have a vested interest beyond the species that we get something in return from. Because if we do that, it's going to put us in a much stronger position to be able to explain what we do and explain the true care that we have for the greater environment. And it's not just a case of, well, we only care about things because we can go and kill it, because we can go and hunt it. Because for the vast majority of us, that's not true if we really think about it. One of the early points that I forgot to bring up about people saying, well, you know, I hunt and I enjoy it, so, you know, lump it, get lost. I do it because I enjoy it, get over it. But if those people, I don't think that's a particularly useful attitude to have. I understand why people might have that attitude, but it's not a particularly useful attitude to have if you're trying to explain what you do to the greater community, which is the vast majority of people. The shooting community is small in this country compared to everybody else. But if I was to ask those people, well, would you do what you do if you had a negative impact on the wildlife that you were hunting or the environment? And the answer is always no. So you do what you do, but you also care, because you wouldn't do it if it was negative. So there is a reason. You do it for more than just, I do what I do because that's what I like to do. So I think we all need to think a little bit deeper and ask ourselves the question, very simply, why am I doing what I'm doing, in all aspects? And if you can answer that to yourself, you can explain it to the general public. And then it puts us in a
Well, you do that with everything in your life.
Yeah, exactly. Well, do we though? I don't think as hunters we very often do. Particularly as
No, I
hunters
mean generally, for people generally though.
and we should do.
I mean, you know, everyone likes to have sex, but you're not going to rape someone, are you? Do you see what I mean? You know, everything you do within the confines of what you enjoy, but you do it in the confines of what's moral and what's the correct way of doing it.
Exactly, and my point is that within the hunting community, I think we have shifted away from considering the moral reasons why we do what we do, and they are there, but we're not necessarily thinking about them. So because we're not thinking about them, we can't explain it.
Well, something I always ask, I've had it a few times, and again, this is, I think sometimes it's not so much the hunting, it's the gun. Some people, like, you've been shooting, they're like, oh, you just like doing it, you just like the bloodlust. I was like, I said to people, have you ever been fishing? And he went, yeah. I was like, so what's the difference? You don't need to go fishing. But he's like, oh, that's different. I was like, it's not different, it's the exact same thing. And I was hoping that he maybe started a question to say, well,
I would love to see a more unified approach between people who hunt and fishermen. As far as I'm concerned, it's actually, I love to do both. Fishing is hunting as far as I'm concerned.
There's a class element with that though.
There's what, sorry?
There's a class element with that though, isn't there?
Maybe a little bit.
People who fly fish typically are very closely aligned with other.
Yeah, but there's the coarse fishing aspect as well.
Yeah, but
and that's much more working man.
But that's a very working class pursuit, and most people who do that don't hunt, they just fish.
But it is, as far as I'm concerned, it's essentially the same thing. And in fact, from the fishing perspective, they've got a whole other thing to deal with, because the vast majority of people catch and release now. Go and try and explain that to somebody who doesn't like field sports. So what are you doing out of that? Well, you're catching a fish, you're putting it under a lot of stress, and then you're releasing it back into the river. If you're hunting, you're at least killing something. It's a definitive process, and then you're putting it in the freezer. Now, as a fisherman, I can justify why I catch and release sometimes, because if you have a vested interest in a river or some water system and you're putting money into it, it is better having that interest in a system, the money coming into it can be managed for that population than not having it at all. And if the effect of that is you have to catch and release for the population and for the management, then I'm okay with that because the balance is in the right position. Anyway, so that was just my kind of final thoughts on that, and unless you guys have any final thoughts, I thought I'd open the floor to anybody to ask you guys any questions, if you're happy with that. So, fire away anybody who wants to ask anything.
I've got a couple of questions. Is there anything you wouldn't put on social media because you think it would be offensive? Like you said about the 7 foxes, would you say shoot 7 foxes and think, I'm not too sure that because it might be quite offensive?
No.
I think that, I was just going to say,
because it would be
a good thing to do that or a bad thing.
Well, if I was going to do it, then I would consider it to be moral and an acceptable, correct thing to do. And if you watch any of my videos, it's usually a bit of a kind of story, really, without any speech showing a montage of what I'm doing, and at the end of it I'll explain what happened and what I did. So if it was appropriate, then for me to do it, then it'd be appropriate for me to film it. I mean, I'm trying to think of an analogy. If there would be anything.
Just when they were before about they were saying some of the pictures would like this packing thing.
Yeah.
Put them up to a pen, would you go the other way?
No, I wouldn't do that. I
know you wouldn't do that, but you would think, I'm not put that on just in case.
I think about every single post that I put on, because you have a responsibility, and this is something I was certainly very naive to when I started the channel, and not fully grasping the outreach that you can have, and it's not just shooters. And you really do have to think, what if Joe Blogs off the street sees this? What if the police see this? You really have to understand that you are, if you've got 100 followers or 100,000, you are representing the sport in some capacity. And you do have to, I think everybody has the obligation to make sure what they put out there is in keeping with the community and the ethos of shooting. I've certainly been guilty of saying the wrong thing and giving the wrong image previously, but I've learned from it. And I think, with social media being so new and so volatile, as I said earlier, there will be mistakes made.
Social media can be the most anti-social thing out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it is important for us to maybe move away from the arguments online and just to keep it positive.
I think with that as with that, it's the same thing again. As I was saying before, you live your life in a way that you consider to be legal, and not just legal, but moral as well. And if you're willing to do something in real life, if you think it's acceptable, then you should be willing to put it on social media within reason. I mean, obviously, you're not going to put certain things on, but like, in terms of hunting, you would. And if it's something I wouldn't be willing to put on social media, then I wouldn't do it. The only analogy I can think of with that would be is if I did something that I knew was wrong, but I don't. Well, touch wood, so some. But up to now I haven't. So it's not really been really been a problem.
Also, do you still think there's this sort of town could be divided? Because I've just moved back into the village I was born in. Okay. I remember moving from the village in the 70s, and the lad up the street had a lurch, and this lad went hunting that. Moved literally 3 miles down the road in a mid-sized town. Not a big town, you never saw any of that. I just moved back like 40 years later.
Yeah.
The lad next door has a raw kennels and the thing with the dogs and the lurches. I know for a fact that I've only called the same road, like back in the car. Around the corner from that, there's another lurch, and it's literally 3 miles down the road.
It depends where you are, really. Where I grew up, it's very like that. Yeah, there's lots of, everyone shoots, and I grew up with it. I mean, it's a different story for me compared to I don't know all of you guys. It's something I know for Callum. It's something you got into, wasn't it, when you're a bit older? I mean, for me, it was always there. So it was around. I mean, from my experience, I'll tell you right. But it depends where you're from. There are a lot of townies in the country as well who moan about all kinds of things. So
I think that's.
So my farm in the area where I was in the field, the sign outside the farm. Yeah, I was sitting there yesterday going to the
yeah.
You're going to find it offended when you buy a house.
Absolutely.
But I think there's more than ever there's division, because people, as you say, people are scared to say something in case they offend. And actually there's going to be things that in the countryside will offend people in the towns, and there's going to be things in the towns that can offend people in the countryside, and then the gap gets bigger. And because we're not talking, because we keep to our own divisions, you get less and less of an understanding. And I think this is very true within the firearms community, is that we're very, very quick to go, oh no, we're not going to go on social media, no, we're not going to have our voice, and we're going to tuck away, and then we're... Yeah, and you're just going to end up, everyone's going to end up segmented. And I think, really just need to use social media to talk, and to be able to talk about the difficult subjects, and to
convince people.
But have these adult conversations about... I think that's a brilliant example. Living in a town, I like my fast, low-down cars. I certainly never imagined wanting a 4x4. Spending a lot of time on Alex's estate with field sports, I now really want a 4x4 because I understand the need.
Back in the village, I thought I'd moved into Suzuki once. 3 miles out of the town, the hill, when the snow was,
I think I touched on it there about the packing incident.
I think some of them is there,
Yeah, some of them were over the line, do you know what I mean? You could see the exit hole, you know, where lots of blood. It was obviously going to be offensive. There was a few posts where it was less graphic, which I wouldn't have a problem with. You know, that to me that was saying to Packham, yeah, I don't agree with you. You know, there's an entire community here. But sure, having brought out new packaging for millennials that now you don't have to touch the meat. That's how far removed we've become. Yeah. But I think as far as is it detrimental to shooting, sometimes it is. Like I said, if you're posting it in a closed group that specialise to, you know, fox hunting, I don't see a problem with it, you know, because you're among friends. You're obviously going to get aunties that infiltrate these groups and take screenshots of posts, so you have to be aware of that too. They're always, you know, they're always going to be in the background trying to catch you out. Especially with social media, you have to be PR savvy. It doesn't matter if you have your own page or if you're just Joe Blogs goes out hunting once in a while, you know.
I think some of them there just to try and cause the problems. I mean, we had a story about we're from Durham. It was a few years back. There was a big story in the paper. The local council in Newcastle tried to ban them from having Christmas lights in case you had a Muslim woman next door.
Yeah, yeah.
So we went out and interviewed the Muslim woman next door and said, "Oh, did you find it offensive?" And they said, "Yeah." She said, "I've been paying next door for 25 years. She's one of my best friends. I'm actually on my room there when you stop us and have a tea and chat." I don't know if she's got Christmas cards or you know, sometimes I think
it's trying to cause division.
So trying to cause division where there was absolutely no division there. It's for, let's say, 25 years or whatever it was.
Exactly.
Just people don't have anything better to do with their time, I think, sometimes, you know, find a cause.
We have a mate in a wheelchair on the corner, he's been like that all his life. Some of the things we call him, if you call him that, I would level you, you know, I would knock you on the arse. But he loves it because you don't treat him. Everybody in our group gets insulted, so he gets insulted. You know,
it's equality in a way, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It's in it by, if you don't insult them, you discriminate against them because you insult everybody else. And that's why he's still here all these years later, because he's treated as an equal.
Yes, I mean, some, well, you say if it's some outsider, it's out of order, but if you're mates, it's banter. And, you know, probably any workplaces or whatever, the way you talk to each other, you know what I mean, like, you know, you just couldn't do it in public, you know, but well, you're a bunch of mates and it's normal, it's absolutely normal.
It's funny what you were saying actually about your friend who's in the wheelchair and saying, well, I should be able to insult them like everyone else, and people frown upon that. And what you're touching upon is intersectional social justice, where people have a hierarchy of privilege between different groups. And obviously being, you know, white men, we're the lowest of that.
The worst thing you can do insult them would be the mollycoddle.
But the ironic thing is that when you have a hierarchy of privilege and you say, well, these like straight men, well, you accept what you like to them, but if somebody's like a Muslim or a woman or whatever, you can't. What you're really saying is that you think that people other than these white men are inferior to them because you're saying they need special treatment and they can't be treated the same as them. And that's what's going through society all everywhere now. So
you have to take people to one side and say, look, leave them alone. You know, you're mollycoddling, you know, don't cross the street, don't do this, don't do that.
And he wants to be treated the same as everyone else as well, of course.
And I think that comes back again to division, is we have labels for you know, everyone can attribute themselves to a label, and what you're doing is you're dividing. We're people, we're human, you know? Yes.
We're individuals.
Yeah.
You can't fill a form and you're ticking a box saying I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all different in many different ways, and by creating these labels, we're creating set divisions. Like just like with the village and the town, well, it doesn't matter. You live in a house, doesn't matter if it's in the middle of a field or it's got loads of houses around it. And you know, I think we just need to remember that we're all on this planet together.
I think I'm forgetting about the divide from coming from the village and being in the town for so long. When you went up how, like you say, it's literally 3 miles of road. You know, you can walk it in 10 minutes. And you see so much that I just thought, I've not really seen that in the town. You know, just and now I remember that, you know, because half of the still all related up there, you know what I mean? Well, but I wouldn't his uncle had, you know, purchased when I was a kid and they've carried on. But they moved down that town to the railroads.
That's a good point. Any other questions? Or?
I don't like sound my own voice.
Watch out.
Just cover your ears.
You get used to it.
Yeah. So, how do we like deal with the huge PR problem we always get whenever some Raji in America goes and, you know, shoots up a school or whatever? As aunties, they can't seem to separate England is different from America. You've never really had that problem.
No.
Even when we had no real gun laws at all. Like
well, the funny thing is, everyone always cites Australia when they talk about that, and they say Australia they had a mass shooting, and they've never had one since they banned the guns. They just happened about 2 days ago. And I don't want to be like smug about it at all, because obviously it's a tragedy, but it doesn't make any difference. But even before that, there was things going on all the time. So I mean, people tend to go into. People have a tendency to Google something, for instance, to confirm their own bias. So they're not actually interested in finding out what's actually happened and taking a sort of impartial look and think, well, what's the best way to do it? The way you would if you were like making a decision about your own life, about anything that you were going to do, you would think, right, I actually want to know what the truth actually is before I do this, because I want to get the best outcome. But when it comes to stuff like that, people don't. They're just like, well, I've got this view already, and I want to try and find things to support it. If there's things that don't, I'll ignore them. And we do it too. I'm not
confirmation bias at the end.
I think it's mainly education, and again, dispelling misconceptions. So people go, well, we're going to turn, if we have guns in the UK, which we do, it's going to turn into America. Well, first of all, there's 2.5 million legally owned guns within the UK, and we don't have massacres up and down the country, so there's the first misconception dispelled. Also, you focus on the restrictions and the licensing and all the hoops you have to jump through, which I support completely, because that's why we're not like America. The Parliament looked at it very early on and went, okay, maybe, we shouldn't just let everybody have guns, because there are nutters out there. America, and this is my biggest frustration, is they won't acknowledge that. They won't even acknowledge basic education and training. You don't let a 16, 17-year-old jump on a moped or a car without any sort of tuition or instruction. And Americans are just, well, it's my right. Well, yeah, it's your right, but a 30-minute unfadable course, which just teaches you, just like with the Phoenix range, those people that I was in the group with yesterday, they now have a decent respect for firearms, they know how to handle them correctly. It took an hour, and it was £32, and I think that's the main thing to say about the antis, is that we have a completely different system, and the proof is in the pudding, is that you can count on one hand the amount of mass atrocities we've had in the UK.
Well, I think, I'm not totally disagreeing with you, Callum, obviously we get checks, but I think in some ways Americans are in a difficult situation, because if you look at the history of British gun control, the first relapse of gun control was in sort of 1920, and it was because the government, this is all on I think Hansard, the sort of Parliament website, it's it's documented fact, it's not conspiracy theory. They said they were had fears over crime and
they're bringing guns back from World War I.
and stuff like that, but the real fear was due to the Russian Revolution. They were scared of soldiers coming back for First World War, poor housing, bad jobs, but they knew how to fight. And that was the first real. It wasn't about public safety, although that's what it sold as. It was the government was paranoid about a revolution, and
I think there was a problem with commies.
Yeah, well, I know there was. So I mean, I can understand that, but rather than they lost millions of work hours in the early part of the history, but that was the reason. It was sold as public safety, and I think the Americans, they must be aware of this. I mean, look, after 1920, I thought that was reasonable. We don't get a firearms certificate. It was still, signed off. No, but we've got down the line. We've seen the 68 Act, we've seen the 88 Act, the 97 Act. We're looking at banning 50 cal. And they all say it's about public safety, but where's the proof? And I think that's what the Americans probably realise, that okay, you could give an inch, but we've gave inches and it's now becoming miles and we're losing. So there is a balance there, and Britain should maybe look at other countries like Czech Republic and Europe that have got different systems. That they've still got self-loading rifles, they've got handguns. There's all sorts of other things there that they can do, and it doesn't cause problems. But lower violent crime rates in the UK, because at the end of the day, it's not gun ownership, illegal gun ownership, it's the cause of crime. And people talk about like it's a horrible incident, 97 Dunblane, and they say Britain banned handguns and it's never had a school shooting in the 12 years since, is it? Sorry, 24 years. But in the 97 years of modern firearms, modern handguns before that, there wasn't a school shooting despite more relaxed laws. So it's not just about the guns, there's socio-economics to blame, there's inner city poverty, there's all sorts of huge issues that need to get resolved, and banning the 99.99% of law-abiding people that aren't a problem isn't going to solve anything. I mean, we're seeing in Britain now, okay, people can't get firearms, they're using lorries, they're using trucks, they're using anything they can get, and you're never going to stop bad people from finding a way by restricting good people. And you know, this is a discussion we need to have. What would actually work? What would solve the root causes? And the thing is, it's not an easy discussion to have because they're not easy things to solve. Do I have answers? No, but should we have the discussion?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think, I mean, it makes you wonder where it's going to end. Because we've already seen a ban on online knife sales, for instance, just because kids are stabbing each other. Right, okay, kids are stabbing each other, so therefore the solution is to effectively try and ban knives. Well, if you do that, well, they're going to find some other way of hurting each other, aren't they? They haven't addressed,
I can show you. I made a knife out of spanner, an old spanner, and then heat up. You can bash me with a knife, you know. It's not hard. You know?
It's treating a symptom, not the disease.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's why we get very frustrated as shooters, as we're seen to be almost encouraging this violence because we still want to be able to own guns, and that's not it at all. We want to be involved in the solution. We don't want people running up and down the streets with guns or going into school with guns and committing these massacres. And we're very open to work with the police and the government, from our point of view. And I think our frustration is that we get blindsided. Well, okay, you're biased. I mean, we might be a little bit biased, but we also know what's going on because it's our community. And again, talking about not wanting to say anything to cause offence, and I think there are difficult topics that need to be discussed.
One of the topics is addressing why young men feel the need to go and stab each other or shoot each other or whatever. Is a lot of the time is because of the lack of a male role model, or the lack of a father figure in the home. And there's questions to ask then about the benefit system. Why we've got a benefit system which encourages single mothers to be single mothers, or makes that a possibility. Perhaps if it was more of a problem, less single mothers would appear in the first place, to be a lot more careful about who that they decide to sort of hook up with.
That's a difficult topic to address without people getting offended. And actually,
I'm sure.
It's the same thing, isn't it?
Unfortunately, these topics do need to take place, and unfortunately,
those young men could come and shoot us. Yeah. And then they would have a male role model, and they would start killing people.
That's it. Then they've got stuff to spend their money on.
Yeah, because if you've got no one to teach you how to be a man, then you never learn, do you? And you think being a man is about being hard, being violent, and what have you, and then they grow up that way, and then they end up involved in gangs. Well, it's a Lord of the Flies situation, isn't it? They're being taught how to be men by the children, and they never grow up.
Glamorising gang culture as well.
Yeah.
I've noticed there's a big scene in London that that songs being brought out from the various gangs, on YouTube, and the lyrics about how many people have off that week. It's basically turning into downtown LA in the 80s.
And now you get monetisation.
Exactly, and they're getting paid for it. That's right.
Which is annoying.
Yeah.
So it's a very nuanced problem that needs to be addressed. But the government always likes to be able to put a plaster on it and to be seen to be doing something, because really, frankly, they don't care. They really don't care. They don't lose any sleep over it. The only reason they're bothered about it is because we get all angry about it and the media talk about it. So they go, okay, I'll just do this thing, we'll pass this completely irrelevant law, and then people think, oh, okay, they've done something about it.
I think there's an element of self-preservation, no matter if you're just a normal citizen, or you're an MP, or you're the PM. Talking about you bringing in the 1920s because of uprising and stuff like that. If you're the PM and you look at the London riots, you have to look at that and go, what if they were armed? Because it would have been a hell of a lot worse if they were all armed. And I think there's an element of them just wanting to make sure in no capacity whatsoever that firearms can get into that realm. And I can understand that. I think, exactly.
Just to be a touch about riots, this is probably controversial to a UK perspective, but you've obviously had to talk about LA. Same thing, social problem, probably similar to the social problems in London, right? Drugs, intersect poverty, gangs, all that. LA riots, and you look, the government's saying worried about these people aren't, but in London, I mean, we're seeing gun crimes are up. They're not going for a firearms certificate. They're getting them illegally from whatever means, and it's not firearms theft. It's not from legal gun owners. The firearms that are caught up in these crimes are all ones that have been banned for years.
More common, aren't they? Through customs.
Exactly.
But for everyone they get, there's going to be God knows how many shipments going through.
Exactly. I mean, they're going to we're an island, but I mean, don't stop Josh. But you talk about the riots, and they've said about what these people were armed for. This is totally controversial. I might get a chat at the door on Monday now because of this. But if you look at the LA riots, there was a famous picture, and it's these Korean shopkeepers. I think it's America. It's a different situation, but they were all armed. And they were around, and their property never got touched because they were protecting their property. Now, that's controversial, but that was in America, and that stopped them being attacked by a riot. So,
Yeah,
to turn around and say we're going to take, so in our nation's mindset seems to be right. The Korean shopkeepers wouldn't have had any firearms, so their shops would have got tanned and burnt out of the ground just like everywhere else.
To be fair with that, I mean, you have to start the conversation where it starts with that. It's nothing to do with firearms. It's just being allowed to like defend yourself at all, in any way. You know, if somebody breaks into your home, whatever, you should be able to defend yourself. And currently, you know, we have this ambiguous system because they'll say you can use reasonable force, and reasonable force is completely subjective. So you have to guess what they consider to be reasonable force at the time while you're being attacked, and then you have to think, oh shit, what demographic am I? Because if I'm an old guy, I'm probably alright. If I'm a woman, I'm probably alright. If I'm a young, strong young man, then, and especially if that guy attacking me is smaller than me or whatever, you've got to think about all this stuff and come up with a plan of what's appropriate. Well, how do you know?
I think that's the...
So, yeah, I mean, in front of that, I mean, forget about guns or anything, just being able to just go like that, it's like a crime pretty much if someone's attacking you. So what are you going to do?
I think that's what I'd like to see change the most. It's not like I necessarily want the law changed in self-defence, just like clarification. And as you say, what is actual...
what is reasonable?
Yes.
What is actually reasonable? If this happens, we can do this. That's what's reasonable.
I think improvised weapons are okay. Having something prepared while the situation is...
And then what's improvised? You know, if they say absolutely, if someone comes into your house, you have to make them a cup of tea and give them a biscuit, and that's the law, then that's the law, and I'll stick to that. If it's you can do this or you can do that, just define it. Whether what you end up getting is a lot of people that are just scared to do anything, because if you overstep the mark a little bit, especially if you have firearms, and people are very nervous, and I think there's a lot of gun owners that I've spoken to that said that under no circumstance whatsoever would they ever consider, you know, using firearms, even if there were, you know, 10 guys on the door because of the repercussions.
Oh, absolutely.
Too much come back on you. So
I did actually do a video on the subject. You might want to check it out.
Quick plug there.
Yeah. It's just,
what's your channel called again?
Where I was talking about pepper spray. Okay, you know, my mum was a Crown prosecutor until she retired, and she had a lot of cases where she was dealing with like people from the IRA and bank robbers and that sort of thing. And the most protection she was allowed to have was a personal alarm, where it was just a box. I remember I was quite young then, and you just pull this thing out and it just makes a loud noise. And I'm like, what's that going to do? You know, why can't we just have a government-sanctioned one variety of pepper spray? I know Alex thinks that I would say stun gun or whatever, but something like that, okay, which is a specific brand, a specific item. It can be coloured in a certain way that everybody's allowed to have to defend themselves. And sure, it will mean that kids who are currently stabbing each other or whatever will use them, but frankly, I would rather kids who are in London stabbing themselves on a Saturday night were going into hospital having milk poured into their eyes because their eyes are a bit sore, and it's better than having a knife in the sternum, isn't it? So, you know,
the deterrent factor everywhere else, but I think that's probably my fault. I've brought that up.
I think
we're kind of going to drift here.
Time for one more. Does anyone have another question? Yeah.
The thing is, when it comes to firearm laws, personally, is everybody wants to get rid of firearms. It's basically a facade. Everybody wants to see it as, oh, it's just going to get rid of all violence and stuff. We're human beings. Human beings are built up from millions of years, well, not millions, but hundreds of thousands of years, violent. Yeah. We've been killing each other for years. It's not going to get rid of it. If you ban firearms, the illegal gangs and stuff, all they're going to do is going to look online. They're going to look at looties like political protester, where you can make a firearm. You're making a firearm out of 2 bits of pipe. You can't ban firearms. If you want to ban firearms, you have to ban the knowledge. You basically have to go back in time and get rid of the firearms when it's first created. Yeah. But the thing is, altogether, with the firearm community, at the moment where you're saying where each gun community is splintered, it goes back to that old saying, if we're like one stick, then you're easy to snap. But if you join up together and you become a bunch, it's harder to snap. What are we going to do to like join the communities together? Because say the hunters, say with them, people the Home Office are coming after them basically, because I'm wanting to stop them from hunting and stuff like that. But then you got the people who shoot full-bore target rifle, and they're like, oh, I don't care about hunting. But then they got to look on their side of what happens if the government comes after their stuff, after their bolt-action rifles? Who's going to look after and defend them? They have to help support the rest of the gun community if they want that support as well later down the line.
Well, I think, as we've kind of touched upon, I think some previous shooters that seem to like to sow the seeds of division, I've maybe come round to that realisation that we're all stronger together. And at the end of the day, I mean, we're talking about how in this country you're going to get people saying we shouldn't have black rifles. The media will say that's an assault rifle. I mean, I don't have a video on what the definition of an assault rifle is. It's nonsense, but they'll call a 2.2 Smith & Wesson an assault rifle. But see, when they're gone, the next thing will be your hunting rifle, be a sniper rifle. And so, how do we get them in together? Maybe just talk to them, you know, and say, look, come on, wisen up. You know, this is what's going to happen. We're stronger together.
Well, it's something that you can look at with the new science.
Yes. So I think events like this mostly help to show all the different sides. You know, there will be people here that have come just for the rifles, people here that have come just for hunting. We're getting more events where there are all the different groups together, so that people can interact and learn more about different areas of the sport is very important. And certainly in launching Gunroom TV, which will be a collective of different channels online, I think that's very important as well, is to not have just these segmented individual channels, but to have maybe a hub that has everything. It will have, you know, practical shooting, it will have long range shooting and hunting, it will have, you know, people that are, you know, political and people that don't want anything to do with politics. And I think it's just providing these locations, be it at a show or online, where many shooters can come together and chat and
have each other's back.
Yeah,
exactly. To see that.
Yeah. Well, that is the thing. I mean, I think I've said it, but you said it right. See the Northern Shooting Show. It's a prime example. You've got everything here. You've got practical shooting. That's I think the first time this year. You've got airsoft.
Yeah.
You've got 2.2 rimfire. You've got shotguns. You've got clay line. You've got muzzle loading. Everything's here, and it might just mean that you bring friends that do other shooting, or they're just here and they walk by and think, you know what, I fancy giving that a go. This is probably the example to follow, and just bring friends, bring family, and take it to there.
I give it a review now. This is how a show should be, as far as I'm concerned, honestly.
Well, I said before, it's like the British Shooting Show crossed with the CNA Game Fair.
Yeah.
So you've got a broad spectrum of everything. You've got indoors, outdoors, you've got all the disciplines covered. No particular bias between one or the other.
It's bigger every year too, you know, it seems to be
how it should be. It should be. It's silly, all this division, it's childish.
It really is, yeah. But I think this is the theme, this year's show, over and over again, unity. That's what it's going to take for us to make any difference. And as far as I'm concerned, social media is the platform that I'm going to utilise to do it. And I think if everybody did the same, you know, and weren't afraid to post, you know, I'm going to the range, like somebody said, would make a lot of difference. But I think that's us.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we're sort of going over time.
Yeah, I think we have. Yeah. Unless anyone's got anything desperate they want to ask.
Why is it that when we had done Blade and they banned the pistols, and then you get somebody goes crazy with a 44-ton lorry, are they going to ban lorries? Why do they always just pick on the shoe?
We're the easy target. We're the easy target at the end of the day. You know,
it's doable. Yeah, I mean, I mean, in fact, weren't there people talking about banning lorries?
Oh yeah, probably there. You know,
there's an interesting point with Netherlands. So, been over to the Netherlands and shot there. They can have handguns. They can have full auto guns with heavy restriction for private civilians. But they can't have single-barreled, semi-auto or pump-action shotguns because somebody went into a shopping mall and killed a load of people with one of those guns. So they banned that specific gun. Over here, it's shotguns and semi-autos and pump-actions. This is one of the largest areas of the sport, and you start talking to these guys and you think it's bonkers that in different countries specific guns are banned. It sort of points to the fact that it's not the specific type of gun.
Just something happened, they reacted. It made it easy for them to put a rubber stamp on it and say, look, I've done something now.
And people like to feel safe, and if the government look up and say, actually we can't control lorries because we sort of need them for everyday life, then people are going to go, oh, we're not safe. So they just ignore it and they try and do the things they can control. And in the UK, with our regulation, our licensing, it is a lot easier for them to bring in more restrictions. So it makes the public feel safe. And I think it's maybe our job to maybe highlight the inaccuracies within the statistics of gun ownership and gun violence and the lack of correlation between the two. So it's, I think it's down to us to be vocal in some sense, and be careful about how vocal you are, and again remind yourselves that other people can be watching it and it can be taken out of context. But yeah, unfortunately we live in a world now where everyone needs to be reassured, and unfortunately the world isn't a safe place. There are dangers, and I don't think people want to accept that.
I think what you've said, I mean, about the truck thing.
Well, look at the States with moonshine and prohibition. That didn't work. People will find ways around it.
Well, that's the thing. It's always about. I mean, you're talking about the truck thing. That is. So these things happening. I've noticed this a couple of times. I don't know if it's been. I can't remember who said it. But it was like a police officer, or a politician, or someone. Sort of a journalist. They said, "Oh, thank God it wasn't with a gun." I'm like, I don't think it matters to the people that were killed. Do you know what I mean? The point is, you get bad people doing bad things, and it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah.
And you have to decide how much freedom do you want. And it's not just guns; it's about causing offence. I mean, this is how ridiculous it's got to now. It's got to the point where I can say something that could be perceived as offending you, and then the government will be offended on your behalf and prosecute me for it. So where does it end? Where does it end? Are we eventually just going to be like, I don't know, in some sort of pod or something where we can't even walk about anymore and we have to just interact? Or
hey, we might already be
I mean, it's getting insane.
How do you know when you were a little kid and you went in and said, so-and-so said this, and what did your mum tell you? Sticks and stones.
Exactly! Freedom isn't free. I want to be able to scuff my knee and whatever. It's like, this is the real world. Let's enjoy it.
Yeah. Well. Alright, we'll wrap it up there.
I'm going to have to.
Alright, thanks for the chat.
I'm ready to get later.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much for watching. Cheers. Thank you.
Congratulations if you made it this far. It did go on for a little bit. I think probably a couple of hours, something like that. And I must admit, I had a bit of trepidation initially to the whole thing. I thought this is going to be, a bit scary, to be honest. I had visions of it being like Comic-Con or something with a stage and thousands of people and so on and so forth. I guess, on reflection, I was possibly overestimating my popularity, but it was great, and it was great to meet you all, and I thought it went pretty well. So, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Keep watching.